everybody, I'm Chandler Keys and welcome to Coding with Chandler. Today's video is going to be on how to prepare for a tech interview. Before I get started, I just wanted to say check out my new blog, go to thinkwithcolor.com, and on there I plan to be posting several vlogs on tech, beauty advice, life, anything you can think of, so feel free to check that out if you want to educate yourself on some cool stuff. I recently uploaded a blog on what to expect in a tech interview, so be sure to give that a read. But today's video is going to be on how to prepare for a tech interview, so let's get right into it. Number one, first things first, you need to have a great elevator pitch. The one question you're almost guaranteed to be asked during an interview is, tell me about yourself. What's your spiel? Pretty much you have to know how to give a good, short and concise summary about yourself to give the employer an idea of who you are and what you have to offer for them. So my advice to you guys is to prepare a 30-second to a 1-minute synopsis that describes your background. It should be short and concise and straight to the point, but also enough that can give the employer an idea of who you are. Number two, practice the most common behavioral interview questions. Be prepared to answer questions like, discuss a conflict you had with a coworker and how it was resolved. Explain to us why you would make a good fit for this company. Give us an example of a time you showed leadership and what was the end result. What are your weaknesses? You need to know how to answer these questions to be considered for the position. It's okay if you make mistakes here and there, but you want to explain to these employers who you are and how you problem solve. I'm not saying you have to memorize these answers, and honestly it wouldn't hurt if you did. But the goal here is to make yourself shine and to sell yourself. Explain to these people why you are worth their time. And of course, most importantly, be honest. Now, you don't want to sound like you're reading a script, and you definitely don't want to make up something and present yourself as if you're someone that you're not, because that will definitely show. If you overhype yourself in an interview, I can guarantee you they will start to notice it and they will see right through you. You don't want to embarrass yourself like that. An interview is to get to know you, not your fake personality, because your real one will show during your work performance. There's a difference between being professional and being a completely different person. Number three, this is just a big tip that I like to give people. Be 100% humble and honest about your weaknesses. Take no shame. This shows that you're a realistic person and that you're truthful, which honestly shows me that you're kind of reliable. If you can be honest about your weaknesses, then you can be honest at the job. I mean, it's really hard to explain your insecurities and what you're worst at to people, especially to someone that you want to hire you. And if you can do that with no problem, then I mean, you're probably worth hiring. At least from my perspective, if I was hiring someone. I'm not an employer, but that's what I would look for in someone, because we all have our flaws. Point them out. For example, at my last job, I primarily coded in Perl, which is a much older language. And this new job that I have right now, we primarily use JavaScript and front-end frameworks, but I'm more of a back-end kind of girl. I've always worked with databases and things that were going on behind the scenes, not controlling how a website looks. So during my interview, I openly admitted to them that I'm sure being hired there would be a big learning curve for me, and that I was nervous to start out. And that just shows nothing but honesty. It's the truth, it is a learning curve. I'm not gonna go in there and act like I'm Albert Einstein, because I'm not. And now that they're aware of that, they're willing to work with me and help me learn the things that I need to know to be able to do my job correctly. Number four, you need to be prepared to do a whiteboard question. This is something that is very common during tech interviews. This is a chance for you to display your coding knowledge and how you problem solve. For those of you who don't know what a whiteboard question is, it's basically a question that your employer will ask you, and you have to present on the whiteboard how you would problem solve. And that generally is by using pseudocode, which is basically coding syntax, but simplified so that you have to literally write down each line of code. You're pretty much just writing what the code is doing in like shorter code. Something condensed and concise that can show how you plan to solve a problem with real code. A good example would be, show us how you would write a program that will take a string and print it backwards. So then you would go on your whiteboard, write down a function or a loop or something that you would use to reverse a string, and explain your whole thought process and how you would do that. I would start off by making a for loop and an array, take the last index, blah, 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 blah. You get the idea. My tips to you guys to get really good at these is to look up examples. A lot of companies use these same questions. I can tell you that right now. I spent a lot of my time when I left my last job just practicing coding questions left and right. I spent hours and I was so nervous because I thought they were going to ask me something that was really advanced. They ended up asking me a question that I actually decided not to practice because I thought it was too easy to practice. Long story short, make sure you look up those common questions and practice the crap out of them. Don't only practice them because you want to be able to get the answer right for the interview, but you need to understand how those things work. Because knowing how one interview Knowing how one program works can help you really figure out how to figure out another one. Another tip for you guys for these whiteboard questions is to know the fundamentals of programming. If you have those down, I think that you'll do fine during a coding interview. That means you need to know your loops, you need to know your arrays, polymorphism, inheritance. Have an idea on how those things work, and I think that you will do just fine. Number 5, my last tip for you guys is to come to the interview prepared with all of your documents. Even if they already have a copy of your resume, bring it anyways. It just makes you look more prepared. Here's a good example. Boom! I have this cute little folder and I have not one copy of my resume, but like 3 or 4 in here just in case someone else wants to see it or in case somebody loses it. You never know. Business cards. I got my business card right here. They're so cute. I hope my number isn't on that. I'll have to blur that out. It just makes you look more professional. And I'm honestly a huge goofball. I'm totally lying to these people. Your cover letter, you know what I'm saying? I also have to hide my information. I feel like someone's gonna find this. Your cover letter explains yourself. You know what I'm saying? Bring this to your interview. They might already have it, but it's good to bring and give to your employer so that you look prepared. Okay, I'm done making a fake country accent. Anyways, that is all I have for today. Those are pretty much my main tips on how to do well and succeed in a tech interview. Now, don't get me wrong, you're not guaranteed the job if you do these things, but these are something that can give you a boost and a plus. It definitely won't hurt to have these things in mind. Thank you guys so much for watching. That is the end of my video. If you want to see more, I have a lot of Java tutorials that I uploaded in the past on this channel. Feel free to check those out. I also make videos on advice and other things like that. And I also have a new blog called Think with Color that I mentioned earlier. So feel free to check those things out. I'll put the links in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching and showing your support, and I will see you guys in a couple weeks.